Right, hello everybody, this is Claire from Team Wasted. I've decided to do a bit of power ranking content, because I felt like it. I used to do a lot in AD2L, till I got like a real job out of college, and got kind of burnt out of it. But I thought with Gambit pretty much being the only one making any content this season, I would add to the pile a little, give some additional opinions. So here we go. I have a nice little tier list here with pictures. I don't know how many of these pictures will actually be recognizable. Some of them are a little funky. I just took them from the Dota Buff pages, from the esport pages. With the exception of Willgang. Willgang hasn't played a game yet, so I just put a picture of my friend Will. I figured that would do the trick. And Wasted Idiots sent me a different picture they're apparently going to use from now on. But I think the rest, you can see the Grim one, the WSS one, they're relatively identifiable, so that should work. And then on this page I have the games from week 1, which I'm going to go over, and the games for week 2, which I'll make some predictions on. I don't know some of these teams super well, like Gambit does, so I'm going to be largely going off of the performances from week 1, and anything I know about the individual players, based off either seeing them in other leagues or just their Dota buffs. So, first of all, I guess I'm just gonna be straight up with you. I don't like ranking my own teams seriously. It always feels a bit cringe. I'm obviously gonna be optimistic about my own team. I'm gonna think they're really good, but it just doesn't quite seem right to put my team top tier when it's my own tower ranking. So I'm just gonna take my own team here, put them in the F tier. That's where they belong. And while I'm at it, I'm going to do the other wasted teams because I don't want to give out any inside information. I'm not going to do like a Dota buff analysis of the players that I'm on the same meme organization with. So we'll rank them a little more seriously. For Dumbledore, D for Dumbledore just makes sense to me, and I don't want to be worse than Wasted Idiots. I can't have them above me, so they're going to hang out with me here. But otherwise, we'll get on to the other teams. So the first game, oh god, first match we have is Wasted Idiots versus DC Clan. This is a little weird. As you can see here, DC Clan, De Gang Costa, I guess is what DC stands for. I think they're called DC Clan on the AD2L website. Won both games, but Wasted Idiots was assigned the wins. And if you already watched Gambit's content, you'll know why. DC Gang used 3 stand-ins. This guy, Murrah, I don't know how to say that, and Aimer are the only 2 players actually on the team's lineup. So 3 stand-ins is not allowed. On top of that, we have an Immortal stand-in, which is not allowed. They are Divine 3 max, I believe, as of this season. This guy that seems to be perfectly legal, and then this guy, who is completely unscoutable, only has tournament games on his profile, and yeah. Apparently some other tournament lets him play, but not allowed in AD2L. Their captain was missing this game, so at first I thought, well, that happens. The captain goes missing, none of the players knows what's happening. They end up getting 3 stand-ins, 2 of which were illegal. They may not have known what they were doing. I thought it may have just been a misunderstanding, but then the captain sent this to the captain of Wasted.Idiots. And I think he just doesn't give a shit, to be honest. So, with that said, I haven't really seen this team play, but they look okay based on ranks, but I feel like purely on the basis that they seem inclined to get themselves forfeited or potentially completely kicked out of the league, I'm just going to kind of put them middling tier. They've already lost 2 games purely off the fact that they didn't follow the rules and clearly didn't give a shit about it either. If they do that a couple more times, I don't think they'll be in the tournament at all. But we'll see. The players look fine as long as they just actually do what they're meant to do and don't try and pull dumb shit. But I don't know. This is not the kind of response that fills me with confidence that they're going to be good boys for the rest of the tournament. So without further ado, we'll go on to the next game, which is a little more interesting because it doesn't have a bunch of sketchy accounts in it, which is my team, Wasted Creature versus Wards in Base. So Gambit predicted my team would lose this game 2-0. He thought Wards in Base would 2-0 it. He also, I think, thought pretty highly of them. He put them in his A tier, I want to say. I'll be honest, I did not get a very good impression from them this game. It's the first week. I mean, my team, this was like our first time playing together as 5. We didn't really have a draft plan, didn't come prepared, and maybe they had the exact same thing, and we just happened to beat them with both of us winging it. But, I mean, it felt really sketchy. This Jugs item build game 1, we were actually kind of struggling game 1 a little bit. Like, I didn't feel afraid of us losing, but I was afraid of this Jug. Like, he felt incredibly farmed early on. And then he just did this, like, weird 0 defensive item, 0 stats build. He was just super easy to kill. He just didn't have any game impact. It felt kind of like a throw, to be honest. I don't understand why he didn't go a more normal item route. Why this wasn't like a Manta or a SNY, or there wasn't an Ags or anything. Like a more normal Jug build. I don't know. It was kind of strange. And then game 2 I also thought was a little strange. They picked this Mag hero pretty early on. We obviously expected it to be a Mag combo, ban good Mag combo heroes, and then they just pick a Dro. It was a pretty good Dro game, but I don't know. It was strange. The Mag and the Axe also feel like they kind of do the same thing. They just have this AoE BKB piercing disable, and we just picked 2 heroes that we felt were good against the AoE BKB piercing disable. I don't know. It was a little weird to me. So I won't completely rule them out or anything. I don't think they're like bottom tier, but they did lose to a bottom tier team. And so I don't think I can put them above C, to be honest. I mean, maybe B. No, we'll go C. I feel like there is a lot of good teams, and so I don't want to put too many people high up, because I don't want to have like just everyone A and B tier. No callouts to Gambit, who did just that. But personally, I want to have it a little more spread out, try and have a stronger opinion on these things. Let's close all this shit. Yeah, so just IMO. I mean, like, they didn't do terribly, but these games felt kind of easy, despite having no preparation, and it felt just like they were just doing weird shit. They didn't really seem to have much of a plan. We didn't either, but fuck. Theirs was like, it pretended to be a plan, and then it just didn't. I don't know. That's just my opinion. We'll see next week. Maybe they can bring it back. We'll move on to the next one here. All 3 wasted games in a row. I just copied these from the site. This is just how they ended up, I swear. It happened this week too. I guess it's just because our names are similar. That's how the site does its thing. Okay. So here we had Wasted Dumbledore versus Paradox Gaming. This was the only 1-1 series last week, by the way. Every single game was 2-0, except for this one. I think that's a little more expected week 1, when Swiss hasn't done its thing, and the matchups are random, and you're going to have very good teams against very bad teams. So it is interesting. It's also made this weird predicament where one of these teams is going against a 2-0 team, and one is going against an 0-2 team. And we'll get to that later, but for now, we'll just focus on this game. Uh, this one's kind of funny because Paradox threw a rapier while trying to take the base. There's a clip out there somewhere where Greg has picked up the rapier that Sven dropped, the Spectre, and is desperately trying to right-click down the bristle as the bristle just bonks the ancient to death. And that's how that game ended. I didn't really see any of the rest of it, but I feel like the net worth graph tells a story on its own. Sven hit his timings. They presumably began fighting around the BKB timing. Mom, Echo Saber, Ags, BKB. And then they lost the game. They weren't doing very well before that either on Wasted Dumbledore. Paradox just hit their timing. Owned them. Looked pretty convincing from the Dota buff, but then game 2, I think also looked pretty convincing, but in the other direction. Once again, we have a Sven, gets pretty similar timings, and they just end the game. I think they actually ended the game a little faster. This one lasted 40 minutes. So it only lasted 32. So you could say Wasted Dumbledore won more convincingly. I think that might be accurate, but all in all, these teams look fairly evenly matched. Just IMO, they're actually kind of similar too, in that they have all these divine players, and then they have this one lower MMR core. Similarly here, we have these divine players, and then this one lower MMR core. About the same MMR2, Ancient 1, Legend 5, same thing. Both played Sven, both won on Sven, both lost on another hero. So I think these teams are actually really similar. But that being said, I don't want to put Paradox in the Dumbledore tier. I feel like that's a little exclusive, so we'll put them a little higher up. They looked okay. I'll put them B tier. I think that's fair. This game was a bit of a mess. It looks like they're maybe trying some weird shit here. This guy actually plays IO, so maybe it's not that weird, but I don't know. I haven't seen Ursa in a hot minute. I don't think I've seen this hero much anymore. Yeah, just like lane swap too. But I don't know. The idolatry looks like he just beamed on their lower more middle laner, and then they lost, and that happens. But I don't think this will happen every game. Maybe they'll put this guy on pause one more often. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, for now, I'm fine just putting them mid tier, or kind of above mid tier. I guess B and C are both mid tier. We'll move on to the next game. I don't want to be here too long, since I don't actually have that much to say. Okay, so this is one of two games that I think is pretty non-surprising. Well, we actually get to talk about two teams now, because there's no wasted teams involved. So we'll start off by talking about Antikythera. God, I'm probably saying that wrong. I'm sorry. This team is very interesting. We have a Divine 3 player on pause 5, a Divine, as you'd expect in the Divine League. Then we have a Legend core, a Legend support, an Archon core, and a Legend core. This team, I think usually no one's like expected to never win a game. I think that, there's always a percentage chance where, especially with like, what is it, a bare minimum of 14 games in the season, I think even weaker teams are bound to win at least one game. But I honestly think this team might not win a single game. Pat went off on the Void Spirit here, but I don't know, man. They still didn't even take a T2 on Radiant. So I think the kill scores maybe just a bit inflated. Gambit thought that maybe Coconut Gaming started memeing a bit when they realized how bad the opponents were. I think that's pretty realistic as well. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I feel kind of bad for these guys because I don't want to like dunk on them too hard, but I mean they're not good enough to be in Divine League. They have too many lower more players. This guy also like lied. His captain like posted in Divine chat along with Mad Max saying that this guy actually had a Divine account and that this is like his practice account. The Archon counts as practice account. He's actually Divine. But I did a little digging on this guy, and I looked at the Divine account, and it's like this doesn't look like this is his account. It looks like it belongs to this guy called what's his name? Jazzpair? Yeah, Jazzpair. Like I was pretty convinced it belonged to Jazzpair, and purely by coincidence, earlier this evening, I hit Jazzpair in a pub, and I asked him about it, and he confirmed that indeed this guy is not Divine, and that the Divine account he claimed was his main account, is Jazzpair, who is an Immortal player, Jazzpair's Smurf. Which is interesting, a little bit of drama. I won't leak the chat logs for my game, because he was a bit mean, but yeah. This team is legitimately just 3 Legends, an Archon, and a Divine 5, in the Divine League. I think I can say with a lot of confidence that they can join the legendary Wasted Squad in the F tier. But we do also have to talk about Coconut's Gaming. I say this matchup was kind of expected because not only do I think this team is very bad and is going to lose, I think Coconut Gaming is one of the better teams. If we just look at the MMR, which I've already kind of shoveled through while I was talking here, we have 2 Immortal players, we have 3 Divines. I obviously MMR isn't everything, but I believe these guys have pretty much been playing this lineup. They had like one change maybe for like 2 or 3 seasons. So I don't actually think they're like the best team because some of these guys have climbed really quickly, and there's always a bit of a question when people climb quickly, like especially if they're playing. Usually, when you're only playing a certain group of heroes, you're only playing on a single patch. How settled are they into divine? I think some of these guys are like ancient. Really, I don't have a good way of looking without going through tabs that I don't want to bother doing in the middle of this recording. But I think when you climb very quickly, there's always the question of like, are you just a divine on this patch, on the heroes you're playing this patch, or are you a more well-rounded divine, like someone maybe that's been there for a while? Uh, that's just my opinion. So I'm not sure if these guys are like super scary, but they are undoubtedly high MMR, and they have played together quite a bit, and so they hopefully have a decent amount of synergy and some understanding of how they want to draft as a team and draft around other teams, knowing some of the other teams that have also been around for a while. So I like these guys quite a bit. They're going to be our first A tier team. I'm not going to put them S tier. I think they're good, but S tier is reserved for someone special. And you might be able to guess who it is, but we'll get to that later. Okay, so next match. I almost want to skip one, but we'll do this one first. This was the game that got played late, and is why I'm doing this on Monday night instead of Saturday night. This was Team O's versus Victoria's Secret. So, looking at the Victoria's Secret roster, I thought they looked pretty good. I know Master from AD2L. I think he's a very good player. He's kind of like, I'll actually open his Dota buff here. I think he's one of these like older players that has played for a very long time but doesn't play very often. Like, yeah, January 2012, was this closed beta? I'm sure he was a Dota 1 player. And he doesn't play a whole lot, but he's played for so long. He's just, I think, very natural at the game. But regardless, I thought he was good. His teammates, they looked fine. We got divine players. I think they have pretty good win rates too. This guy's win rate looks fine. They looked overall solid. But game one here, they got absolutely creamed by Team O's. Now, Team O's was a team that when I played them, I think it was only season 28 we got to play them. But man, Gambit had been talking about how they were so good, how they crushed every team in like 30 minutes, and we played them, and I think the games were pretty easy. I know for sure that we 2-0'd, but I feel like the games are also pretty easy, which was weird. They may have had a stand-in. I remember Smack talking some mad shit in all chat. That was probably not appropriate. I don't remember much else about the games though, but I mean, just looking at the players, they do look quite good. I understand why Gambit thought they were good, and I think they probably are good, to be honest. Um, they crushed this game. I think Victoria's Secret is probably a capable team, and they just crushed them. Game two was definitely closer. I actually tuned into the stream for this one a bit, since it was on Sunday night, and it looked really close. And the net worth graph looks really close. It actually looks pretty dire favored for a significant portion of the game. But Team O's still managed to bring it back. If anything, I think that probably shows they're more versatile than one may think if you just think of them as the team that always runs early and ends games really quickly, that they had a 50-minute comeback, or almost 50-minute comeback. So overall, I think this was pretty impressive from Team O's, to be honest. Um, like I like Victoria's Secret. I'm actually, if we go back to this tier list here, I feel like these guys are still like a B tier team. Like this. Oh fuck, this is the wrong one. I need to get better at closing these tabs. This is also the wrong one. Okay, we did it. This does not look like a very good showing for sure. Game one, they pick this AM. They get countered out the ass. They just get like nothing done. But that is kind of the way AM lineups go, especially when you lose your lanes like this. Like they pick this combo really early. I guess I don't know if this is a counter or if they just got outplayed or what, but I mean, it's not surprising when this lineup has a bad start that they're gonna lose the game. But game two, it does look like they did a bit better, a lot better. K7, I don't know any of these players outside of Master, but K7 seems like they went off. The mid player had a pretty good game too. This is a support Tiny, by the way. 17 kills. On some important targets too. Pretty fast blink. So I think they have a lot of potential, but obviously Team O's did still 2-0 them, and so I think it's only logical that we put Team O's in the A tier. Personally. I'm buying into the hype that Gambit has created for them. So there we go. And then the last game, is Hellbears versus Grinatherial. Now this I think is very similar to Coconuts versus Antithera, and we'll get to that. It was a stomp. Master went ham, Zumi went ham, Lethal Kittens went ham. Not really, but these two went ham. These guys got crushed. They picked a fucking PL for some reason. Game 2, they try stealing the Lesh, which seems to be a pretty good hero this patch. Feed out the ass. Feed. Why do they have a safe lane snap? I don't even want to know. Feed. So that was just a lane swap? It was probably just a... I don't even know. And Master went completely ham again. Wait, this isn't Master. Have they swapped their names? Okay, I thought it was weird that Master was playing carry. This is like... What have you done? This is Master. Hold up, I'm being memed on. Yeah, this is Bummy, or Boomy. I don't know what his name is. They've memed us, and this is Master Z. The Grandly plays mid. Very high Immortal rank at some point in time. That may have been when the core and support were split, though. I don't know if that's he was actually like crazy high and sandbagged or whatever, or if he just kind of got lucky around the time that the leaderboard was split. But either way, they crushed. Now obviously Hellbears are the two-time champions. I actually think they had a pretty bad showing last season, to be honest. They had a really shitty group stage. I don't think the playoffs was particularly impressive either. They won 2-0 against Coconuts, which was nice, and they won the Grand Finals 3-1, obviously, which was also pretty good. They were definitely stronger in playoffs than they were in groups, but the match against Marty Chang Slayers was a bit scuffed. Marty Chang Slayers like totally imploded after losing, getting eliminated from League of Lads the night before. They showed up with a stand-in and swapped roles, and they'd already agreed to disband like the night before, so I'm sure they had like zero morale. And even then, Hellbears ended up losing a game to them. We can look at this match actually, this series. Yeah, they still lost a game to them. I mean, I think Marty Chang Slayers was set to win the whole thing. They had like a crazy group stage record. So I don't know. But that being said, his team still looks insane. Uh, Master, the real Master, is I think one of the best players in the league. He always goes ham on off lane. Lethal Kittens is very good. Usually they're mid laner, I think. Boomy, when I played them in Season 28, I honestly thought this guy was like their Wink Link. I think he was Ancient at the time. It felt like he played like two heroes competently, and just was kind of weak, but I mean, this series, he's clearly going off. And he's climbed to Divine, which makes me think that they actually have 3 very good cores now. The supports have also climbed. I think at least one of them was Legend at some point. So, I mean, this team looks very good. I will stand by, like, I don't think they're good because they won twice in a row. I think they're good because they look good. Tournament results only mean so much, especially in something with single elim where weird upsets can happen. So, I'm going to put them S tier. And Grinatherial, I spent a lot of time talking about Hellbears, but Grinatherial is kind of a weird team. They played the Ancient Div last season, and they could still play the Ancient Div this season as well, but they've chosen to play in Divine. I don't know why. Like, they aren't crazy low. Like, they have 3 Divine 5s. And at the end of the day, there isn't that much of a difference between, like, Divine 5 and, or Ancient 5 and Divine 1. But I don't quite understand why they did this, because even though they have some players that are almost divine, their overall average is still pretty low. And I don't know if they, like, there's only so far, like, good teamwork and drafts can take you. Like, if you're just constantly playing against players that are better than you, you're just always fighting on the, like, uphill. And so, I don't know, they were one of, like, the better ancient teams, and I think they probably work well as a team together, but, yeah, this is going to be a hard season for them. 81 fucking kills, man. They just got memed on. So, we'll see. I mean, this was similar to the Coconut series, super lopsided. I don't think Grinathir will be losing this hard every week. I think they can definitely take off some games, but overall, I have to put them pretty low. We're going to put them, they can join Dumbledore in the Dumbledore tier. They can be honorary wizards. Maybe they're C tier. I don't know. If they've joined divinely to like try and just improve as a team, I think that's pretty cool. But if they're actually expecting to do well, I think they were probably kidding themselves. Because I will be surprised if they have a positive record at the end of the season. Now, that looks like we went over all the teams, we went over all the games, but we do actually have two teams left. We have Vapor, who got a bye, and then we had the late show up Will Gang. Unfortunately, they weren't ready to play last week. I think they signed up super late, which means that we ended up with two bye 2-0s, which is a little weird. It did some weird things to the matchmaking, but we'll go over both these teams. Unfortunately, there's no Dota buffs to go off in terms of games, but I've gone ahead and opened up all their individual Dota buffs and their AD2L pages. So we'll start off with Team Vapor. I should double check. I did hit the recording button, right? Okay, that would have been bad. Okay, so Team Vapor. We'll start with them. So their captain is Kira, uh, a mid-ancient carry player. Then they have this guy, the Ingenious Archmage. I played against him like yesterday, and I lost very hard. I actually fed him. He played PA, and I just fed him. So you're welcome for the MMR. Divine 3, mid player, assumingly, I assume he's going to play mid. It looks like he plays mid and safe. He plays safe in the game I played him in, but Kira seems to be safe lane only, so I'm assuming this guy's going to play mid. We have Charbs, a very recognizable name from AD2L. Plays a lot of offlane. I assume he's going to play offlane for the team. Pretty high MMR, Divine 4. Mr. Wouter is, dude, this guy's a blast from the past. Ah, fuck. I heard of this guy like my very first season of RD2L, which is like 3 years ago now, maybe more. And he was on like a guy, the stack I ended up playing with in RD2L. He was on one of their previous teams from like before I even played, I think. And then he just quit Dota entirely. I don't. He was still like coming back and playing sometimes. But I think this is like when they said he quit. So he's Divine 2. I don't know how good he's actually going to be, though. I assume he's playing support, because the cores already look locked. We'll see. I think he might be a bit rusty, but otherwise, Divine Pause 4 player, a real mixed bag of roles and heroes. And then we have Totoro, who's the highest MR player on the team, Divine 5. A ton of games, plays pretty much exclusively Pause 5 as well. I feel like these are the players that are most impressive to me when they play pretty much only the role that they're playing. They're high MMR, they have a lot of games, they play a lot of Dota like on a regular basis. Like these are the ones that are always, I think, are the best looking Dota buffs. But with a pause 5, I would hope this person is doing some kind of shot calling. Kira is technically the captain. That might just be on like the on-site captain to arrange matches with. Hopefully they're not trying to like shot call as the pause 1 low MMR player. Because I think if this person, Totoro, is someone that like wants to speak up, they look like someone that would, have good impact in that department. I don't know. Maybe they'll have like their pause 4. I know Mr. Wouter used to captain, so maybe Mr. Wouter calls or something. But either way, pretty impressive. But the rest of the players outside of Totoro, I'm a little 50-50 on. The Ingenious Archmage looks good. I assume this is just when their Dota buff was off over here. I'm sure this temporarily turned off. I don't think they just took a random hard break for a month. Kira is kind of low MMR. They've been having some good games, but they have like high skill mixed in as well. They lost that one too. I feel like pause 1's pretty important this patch, and I'm not crazy about. I don't know. I'm not crazy about having a little more pause 1. I don't think it's the end of the world, but I'm not crazy about it. I still thought Paradox was good, despite the fact they seem to have a guy who looks like he's playing pause 1 at least part of the time, who's low MMR. But Charbs as well, one of the higher MMR players, but my remembering of Charbs is that they don't really carry games. They have kind of a pretty low overall win rate in esports, both recently and overall. And as I already said, Mr. Wouter's like pretty rusty, so I, I don't know. And I don't think these guys have played together as a team either before. Let's double check that actually. Have they played as Team Vapor? Oh, it looks like they have. Okay, so I'm wrong on that. Oh, but it's not the same lineup. It looks like it's this guy's team, but they've only played very recently together with these guys. So, yeah, I don't feel super confident about this team. Like, they look like they have some strong points. Uh, the guy profile, the Ingenious Archmage, their profile looks good. Tutorials look very good, but they're pause 5. The others, I don't know. I mean, Charms looks kind of good on paper, but even then, he's actually not even playing that much recently. And I don't remember this guy being like a hard carry. Well, obviously they're offlane, but you know what I mean. Like, I don't think they backpack games, and the pause one is kind of a little more. So I don't know. No, they don't look like a terrible team, but I'm not going to rank them highly, especially since I haven't even seen them play yet. Like, if they show up next week and they own, then I'll eat my words. That's fine, because it's kind of hard to tell how good a team is purely based off Dota buffs. So I'm just spitballing here. The other team we have to go over is the team that showed up really last minute, Will Gang. So this is captained by Yuki, who previously captained Team Ember, who I remember playing against. But only one of these people played on Team Ember, and that was Keyblade Master, and I've opened their Dota buffs too. So Yuki is very high MMR relative to the league. He's an Immortal in a Divine League, plays carry, plays a lot of it recently too. I mean, yeah, he looks very strong. He looks very scary. This is the support that he seems to have been queuing with a bit recently. A bit lower MMR, but a solid win rate, plays a lot of support, and has been practicing playing with their pause 1, which is generally a good thing. Then we have this, I'm pretty sure is their pause 4, even though their roles are a bit all over the place. They haven't been playing as much recently, they haven't been playing with Yuki, but they played on Team Ember. I'll just show you for sure here. They played on Team Ember a bit. They didn't have a very good win rate on Team Ember. I don't know if I think Team Ember overall had a better win rate than that. But whatever, they don't look very impressive, but they're here. The other two accounts are kind of strange, and I'm gonna kind of go into them a little deeper than just talking about how good I think they are. So this is almost definitely their offlaner. Plays mostly offlane, plays quite a lot too. And this is probably their mid laner on the basis that Yuki has got safe lane covered. Doing a lot of clinks recently, has a pretty good win rate, yeah, kind of mech ADA, but what I found was interesting about these accounts is that right off the bat, they don't have a lot of games. Um, I don't think that's like a red flag or anything, but it is just a little weird when someone's high ranked and doesn't have a lot of games, especially when they're showing a negative win rate. It doesn't really make sense. So I began looking a little deeper, and I decided I'd share what I found. I mean, this is also the team I'm playing next week, so obviously I wanted to take a look into it. So the first guy here we have is Hyped Af. He's kind of interesting. His team profile is pretty bare. Um, plays seems like Dota, CS:GO, and like one other game maybe. Kind of young profile too, only 4 years old, but he does actually have a lot of Dota played. So this is strats showing by region. So his total games is 6,600. So he is wrong one. So he is missing like 4,000 plus games from Dota buff, which is a little weird, but not the end of the world, obviously, because to some degree only the recent games matter. But he also used to play on Europe, which is kind of interesting. And his profile also, I don't know if this is actually where he's from, but it seems kind of European, I guess. So that was interesting to me. And then Bon Iver. Now, Bon Iver isn't hiding any games. He actually only has this many games. What was kind of interesting about Bon Iver is that they, and we're once again on strats, this is just per month. Let's look at the right one here. I'll change them. All time. You'll notice that Bon Iver only solo queues. Bon Iver doesn't really like play with other people. And this got me a little more curious. Because if we go back to the Dota buffs, we'll notice that neither HypeDAF nor Bon Iver have esports profiles. And so I'm wondering, like, Bon Iver does not play in any other leagues, at least leagues that have tickets. And they don't play Party Queue. So how on earth did they meet Yuki? And so these are the these are the Steam profiles with the days friended. This is actually Hyped Af's, and this is Bon Iver's. So Bon Iver added Yuki as a friend 5 days ago, and Hyped Af added Yuki as a friend 4 days ago. So I'm not trying to like implicate anything here. I I don't have any reason to think there's anything shady, but I just thought it was really interesting that Yuki like found these people in just the past few days with seemingly no connection to them. Like presumably they never played in any other league together. I don't have any reason to believe they stacked together, at least not Bon Iver. And yeah, I don't know. So I'm just very curious where the fuck he found these people. I don't know if they were like in the AD2L free agent channel or what. But anyway, I was just really curious, and I thought I'd go into it because it's kind of fun. I like looking at people's profiles and shit. But overall, um, the team doesn't look super scary. The supports are obviously kind of low. Lamar I accidentally closed one of them, didn't I? No, no, I didn't. This is just divine. Uh, yeah. So the supports aren't super scary. Kind of low MMR. Kind of not playing at all, and not really playing support ever. It looks like. But Yuki looks very powerful. A mortal Pause 1 player. I think Pause 1 has the potential of so much impact this patch, and he does seem to be owning in some of these pubs. Both of these guys look pretty solid. They're playing a shit ton of one role, which I like to see. This guy not as much, but you know. Pause 1 safe lane, same thing. It looks like he doesn't have a lot of Dota buff plus games as well, so I think there's actually a lot more mid than this bar is showing. And also playing a lot of Dota recently as well. So I think these guys look pretty good, honestly. Um, not like the best. I think we're gonna go ahead and put them not A tier, but we're gonna put them B tier. My friend's Will's face to represent them for now. I'll change their actual team image if I do this again next week. But anyway, that's my thoughts on that team. Not very much thoughts on the team itself, as opposed to just being a creeper, but hey, that's just what I do. So yeah, that's all the teams. So here we go. I think WSS is the team to beat, not just because they're two-time champs, because they actually look very scary. Coconuts and Team O's are both teams that have been around for a while, seem to perform pretty well. Pretty high MMR too. I think there's like 3 immortals across both those teams. Paradox, Victoria's Secret, Will Gang are kind of what I think are like the upper tier of the mid-tier teams. The best of the mediocre, C tier. I think these teams, Vapor, Wards and Base, and DC Clan, are kind of the weaker of the middling teams. Then D for Dumbledore, with Grin Reapers joining them there, because I think they're a bit out of their league. And then we have the 3 weakest teams, of course, the 2 wasted teams, my team, and the graduated Wasted Seed squad. So, and then what you call them, Antitheka, the Legend squad. So yeah, that's that. If you think I put your team too low, do feel free to ping me with the appropriate insult on Discord. And we'll get to making some predictions. So DC Clan vs Victoria's Secret is kind of interesting, mostly because we haven't really seen the real DC Clan play. I feel like this could very well be a 1-1 match, but I do think Victoria's Secret is a little better, and there's always a chance the DC Clan managed to get themselves forfeited again. So we're going to go ahead and give Victoria's Secret the 2-0. Coconut Gaming versus Hellbears. I think Gambit said it in his thing today. He thinks this is the game to watch. I'd agree. I think both teams are very good. I could bitch out and put a 1-1, but I do actually think there's a pretty decent chance Hellbears 2-0s. I don't. I don't know. They look really strong right now. Coconuts Gaming, I think, may have been just like having like a chill week, or maybe even memeing a bit against the Legend team. But they didn't win like crazy convincingly, whereas Hellbears did win crazy convincingly, even though they dragged it out for fucking ever against Grin Ethereal. So I'll give it 2-0 to Hellbears. I think this could very realistically be a 1-1, maybe even a 2-0 for Coconuts Gaming. We'll see. Wasted Idiots versus Vapor. Vapor is the Charbs team, right? Yeah. It's always weird predicting my own teams. I kind of have to actually do this seriously, though, don't I? Or else half of this is just bullshit. Um, Honestly, it depends how good their mid is, I think. because Choco, despite the fact that he is like sworn off playing Dota, is just very mechanically talented. Uh, and so if Mr. Ingenious Archmage can't give him a run for his money, I think Woffs is definitely a better carry than this guy. And Slinky is probably as good as Charbs, if not better. Um, so I'll be reserved and give them a 1-1, so I don't look like... Actually, you know what? Wasted is all about being a cocky idiot. I'll give him a 2-0. I think Wasted Idiots is going to 2-0 Vapor. Let's go. Alright, Wasted Creature versus Wilgang? Yeah, we fucking lost. Dumbledore versus Team O's. I think this is going to be a very hard match for Dumbledore. I think Team O's is pretty scary, but I do have a lot of legitimate belief in Dumbledore, especially, I didn't talk much about the players on any of the Wasted teams because I just memed my way through it, but the mid player for Dumbledore, Idolatry, I do think is very strong. I think, let me remind myself real quick here. Team O's mid. Not to obsess too much over the mids. Their mid, yeah, as I do remember correctly, their mid is kind of low MMR. I think Idolatry is kind of a pub stomper, and he's the kind of player that he's going to pick something that's he can like 1v9 with, and if he's against a low mid that gives him a good early game, there's a very good chance he 1v9s. And if he doesn't 1v9, I honestly think Dumbledore can do pretty well against Team O's aggressive playstyle as long as their safe lane doesn't get run over. It also depends, they might even send Greg mid. I don't know. We'll give them a 2-0 as well. I think this is a 1-1 might be a safer bet here. I'm just not going to bitch out. I'm just going to put 2-0s for everything. But I don't know. I believe in Dumbledore. I believe in Idolatry to potentially run over the mid lane. And I believe in their playstyle to be able to counteract the potential harsh aggression of Team O's. I think Jay in particular plays some fucking annoying heroes when it comes to beating that kind of shit. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. If this ends up getting rescheduled, because Team O's tends to reschedule, I'll definitely be watching and maybe casting this one, because they're my friends. But also because I think it'll be a good game. This game, on the other hand, I do not think will be good at all. Even though I thought Wars in Base was a little janky, a little all over the place when we played them last week, I think there's no way in hell they drop a game to the Legend Squad. Sorry, buddies. Bye-bye. Grin Ethereal versus Paradox. I mean, like I said, I think Grin Ethereal is a bit out of their league, a bit out of their comfort zone. Should I just remind myself real quick who's on Paradox? That's right, they have the one lower player, and that's basically all Divines. Some of the Divines are kind of low, so they're not like crazy above Grin in terms of like just raw MMR. But I think similar to Grin, they have played together a while, right? They played at least a little bit together. I guess this guy's new. I don't think they're as experienced together as a team as Grin, but you know what? Actually, this may be the week Grin takes a game. No, that I could 1-1, but no. All right, we're gonna give it 2 at a Paradox. Fuck it. No 1-1s. 1-1s are bit shit. I think Grin Ethereal is gonna lose. I don't necessarily think they'll get stomped like they did last week, but I mean, Paradox is better. I think I ranked them B tier as well. I don't remember exactly why I did this. I've already forgotten why I did everything the way I did, but clearly I had some reason to think they were better than average. And I do stand by Grin being one of the weaker teams this season. So, yeah. Well, I guess that concludes this, doesn't it? Thanks to anyone that watched. I'm not going to edit this. I may not even watch it. So hopefully it's not too bad. And let me know if you have any thoughts, I guess, since I'm going to try and do this every week if I can. Alright, goodbye.